What we see here is a police standoff on Dover Lane in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. We have cameras both on the ground and in the air via drone. Please excuse the wobbly drone video, as this was an extremely windy day. The police have now blocked off the road leading to the house where the suspect is.
That's all right. I do this for a living. They know that I'm cover press. Like, they can't block me like that.
This is a drone view from the top of where the cop car is blocking the road. You can see the 3 police cars up ahead. Our camera is positioned at the next corner and it's zoomed in very close. Here again is a drone view of the police cars out front of the man's house. Now we have a police officer positioned across the street with a long, looks like a semi-automatic rifle. If you look closely, when the drone is above the police cars, at the tree line right above the police cars is where the officer with the long gun is. All we see is a few officers in the front, but in reality, there's actually over a dozen officers on scene. They are on the rear of the man's house, as well as on the surrounding houses, as looking out for, I guess, for him to jump out and try to make a run for it. It is a little bit concerning that during the time that the gentleman with the long gun is there, and while he's a little bit later, when he raises it on the ready, there are children running around behind him. Other than that, it seemed as though this situation was handled very professionally. From what I can understand, it looks like it was a high-risk situation due to it being a psych patient that may or may not have made threats or whatever caused them to have elevated response. It doesn't seem to have been criminal related, because after they do take him into custody later, they get him medical attention right away. And he does not go back to the jail. It appears that he leaves in an ambulance. But back to the scene, we are in the air, we are on the ground, just watching this progress. It's been going on now for a little over 6 minutes. No movement at all. They're still knocking on door, trying to make contact, it seems. Knocking on front and back door and on the windows. Seems they've made some sort of contact at this point. The officer with the long gun has raised the long gun and is aiming it.
It's going down right now. He's got the long gun up. I want you guys to get back. Go back towards the house.
The other officer doesn't seem to be very concerned, as though he needs to take cover or anything. I believe the long gun was a precautionary method to just in case some threats or anything that might have happened in the past were to be repeated. Again, I want to apologize for the wobbly drone video. Usually the drone is pretty steady in winds, but these winds on this particular day were over 20 miles an hour. If you watch the trees blowing, you can see it was an extremely gusty, windy day. But the drone did hold up and get some great footage. What we're seeing now is they've made contact at the front door. I kept the camera pretty steady on the officer with the long gun in case anything did happen. I wanted to ensure that I caught it on video so that there was a record of what had actually occurred. The officers are gesturing to the gentleman in the house, trying to get him to come outside the front doors, it seems, and gesturing for him to get down on the ground when he comes out. This officer clearly is indicating to the man, come out with your hands up. And he's come out, and all of the officers come from around the building to go render assistance. They have him in custody. They only have one officer guiding him. It doesn't seem that he's putting up any fight or anything like that. Seemed to have given up pretty easily within 10 minutes of them arriving on scene. As you can see, there were at least a dozen officers on scene. If you look at the back, you can see the officer guiding them away. And the ambulance has just arrived on scene, so what they're doing is they're actually guiding him back between the buildings over to where the ambulance is going to be waiting. At this point, I lose them between the buildings, so I take the drone out to see what was going on. It's when I spot the ambulance and I realize that they had taken him to that ambulance. The officers are all getting their equipment put away and going back to their vehicles. There's a few vehicles actually on the other side of the road. As you can see down in the left-hand corner, there's another vehicle down there. Things dying down at this point. The officer's about to get back in his car and unblock the road. Had a family not realizing that their road was being blocked pull in to unload their groceries. When they got in, they were met by the police officers that were there, but they still managed to unload their groceries. Second to last officer is now finally leaving. Now it's just a supervisor and the officer with the long gun. Hey, leave a note in the comments if you can identify what kind of gun that is, and if it's fully automatic or if it's semi-automatic. Get a good look at his weapon discipline as he dismantles his gun and unloads it and puts it away. See the gun to the right hand side? He has the clip taken out of it at this point. Now he's putting it back in the case. Now it's safely secured in the back, and he's going to get out of there as well. I want to remind everybody that in every state in the country it is legal to film police encounters. I don't encourage approaching or even having interaction with them. They usually respect the media's right to film as long as you stay back and do so in a professional way. So I would encourage you, if you see anything happening, to go ahead and take out a camera and film it. Thank you guys for watching.